Hey guys, what's going on? It's Greg here from Kinobody.com, and today I want to talk about steroids. I want to talk about juice, I want to talk about gear, I want to talk about roids, I want to talk about testosterone, anabolic, synthetic testosterone. So recently I did a Facebook post talking about the benefits of intermittent fasting. And so someone commented below and they're like, hey, yo, Greg, what do you think about fasting on gear? Does fasting work on gear? And gear means, it was like essentially a synonym for anabolic steroids. And so my response was, yo, this is not the place to talk about steroids. I don't want a steroid discussion going on Kinobody. And the reason for that is there's multiple reasons for that. The first of which is I think that taking steroids is really fucking dumb. Taking steroids defeats really the main lesson on building a great body. If you want to build a great body, you gotta learn hard work, you gotta learn patience, and you also gotta learn self-fucking acceptance. You gotta learn to accept yourself because you're never gonna be perfect, okay? I'm not perfect. And so when you kind of allow that obsession with building muscle and achieving something that you think will give you something, because when someone wants to take steroids, it usually is there's an underlying reason there. It's not really about building muscle. There's something much deeper than that. Maybe they want to feel approval. Maybe they want to feel powerful or respected. They don't want to get picked on or whatnot. Or they just want to be this big guy that they want to, it's some identity they're trying to fill. And so it's not really about building muscle, it's about feeling enough, feeling fulfilled. That's why someone wants to fucking inject a needle and spend however it is a month. You know, some bodybuilders spend 100 grand a year on gear, though I'm sure you can get it for much less, but that's besides the point. The point is that taking steroids really defeats the purpose of building a great body. It's not just about achieving a look, it's about becoming a better person in the process. I know Elliot Holst talks about this, but he's not the only person that understands this. It's like he invented this idea. Though respect to Elliot Holst, I did a podcast with him, he's the man. It's not even just about who you become in the process, it's about literally learning to break free of these. I mean, it is essentially who you become in the process, but it's in that process you're learning how to break free of all these different identities, attachments, and beliefs that you can't do it. And so when you build a great body, naturally you can take that skill set and you can bring it into other avenues of your life, bring it into school, into business. But when you take steroids, what lesson are you really learning? That you need to cheat, you need a shortcut in order to reach your goals. And then in taking steroids, you also are dependent on taking a drug, anabolic drugs, for the rest of your life in order to have a good physique and build muscle. Although if you take steroids and eventually you're gonna just put on too much mass, it's gonna look weird. Girls don't like that shit. Ask any girl and they think the roided bodybuilder look is gross, unless you talk to like Snooki from Jersey Shore. But if that's your type, that's cool too. I don't know. But they don't, I mean, it doesn't look good. I mean, watch any movie and like the guys that girls swoon over, and like if you talk to most guys, what they want to look like is those Hollywood actors that are in great shape, which is what I teach with Kinobody. And you don't need steroids to achieve that. Now there's also another reason here. And so actually, just to kind of top off that point, really, I mean, take steroids, you're basically you're compromising the real lesson there. You're teaching your body, that you're teaching your mind or yourself that you need to take shortcuts in order to achieve your goals, that you don't have the patience, and you're also like going to be dependent on all these drugs to build muscle, and you're gonna have to deal with all these different side effects. You know, smaller balls, perhaps acne, receding hairline. I mean, not all these side effects are issues. Some people are fine without them, but then I mean, you're doing damage to your body in some way, shape, or form, and that's just to like have more muscle. I mean, that's fucked up, right? But the real reason why I was like, yo, keep this shit off Kinobody, I do not want to hear about it, is because people don't understand how much their behavior affects them. People don't understand how much their environment affects their behavior. So if you're part of a football team and half the kids on a team are doing steroids, well, your likelihood of doing steroids has just gone up tenfold, because all of a sudden it doesn't seem that weird anymore. It doesn't seem that crazy. It doesn't seem that stupid. Everyone you know is doing it. So if they're doing it, it's not that big a deal. That's just how the brain works. If you think you're immune to the effects your environment has over you, well, you're fucking wrong. It has an effect on you. And so I don't want juice talk on my YouTube page, on my website, because some impressionable kid's gonna come around and he's gonna be like, oh, this is cool, let's talk about steroids, wow. Because the reality is steroids do work. They fucking work. Some studies show that steroids actually, you build more muscle on steroids without training than without steroids and training. Though steroids and training builds more muscle. I'm not here to lie to you and tell you steroids don't work. They fucking work. But taking steroids is retarded. It is really fucking stupid. Don't do it. And so yeah, I mean, like, just avoid that steroid culture. Keep it out of your reality. If you're even flirting around or entertaining the idea of doing steroids, then that's a sign that you need to address much deeper issues. And that's why when you take steroids, you really are running away from your problems. You're running away from your true ability to grow as a human being. Because, as I was mentioning earlier, there's something deeper going on. And I know I'm starting to repeat myself, like Derek Zoolander. What is that? Just because you're an investigatory journalist doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want and leave people dead and bloody along the way, just so long as so you can get your article. I don't know. I was just trying to quote a movie that I haven't seen in years. But yes, that's my point, pretty much, is that really, if you're watching this video right now and you have just like part of you, 2% of you is like, I want to take steroids. Well, you need to look into yourself and ask yourself, why do you want to take steroids? Oh, you want to get huge. Well, why not take your time and build muscle and look better in the process and not have to spend tons of money and rely on drugs and endure side effects, okay? And then you gotta think about that. There's something really, there's some insecurity there. And that's where self-acceptance comes in. You need to accept, you need to accept yourself in a certain way. I mean, if you're 5'6", accept you're 5'6". Because there's someone that's 5'4" that would, dream of being 5'6". This, like, I have staggered abs. I don't give a fuck. Abs are abs. I mean, you're never gonna have everything perfect, and you gotta accept that. You gotta love that. So, I'm never gonna be 200 pounds of shredded muscle, but I don't give a fuck because that doesn't even look good. It looks awful. And so that's the point of this video, is to learn self-acceptance, to grow as a person. Stop looking for external. I mean, a lot of times we look for external things in order to feel complete. We think that fulfillment, that salvation lies in attaining things, in, having this perfect car, these perfect delts, and a lot of times we focus on stuff we can't even have. And that's just covering up a deeper issue. The point is you should feel enough right now. You should accept yourself right now and work towards your goals. But once you accept yourself, you're not gonna have that dependency on taking steroids, because now it seems fucking crazy. If you don't accept yourself and you're like, oh, I'm skinny, I don't deserve shit, I have no muscle, no one's gonna like me, people are gonna pick on me, and like, if that's the message you're telling yourself, then yeah, fuck, you're gonna wanna take steroids. But accept yourself, man. And don't just accept yourself because you're better off than someone else, because that's just an ego coming out that's not gonna serve you. Accept yourself because, I don't know. Because once you accept yourself, it's just a lot better. And ultimately, that mental conception that we have of ourselves, that identity we create, how we split ourselves in two, there's us, there's us experiencing life unfolding in front of us, and then there's this mental conception we have of ourselves that's based on, past and future expectations, creating this idea of who we are, and that's kind of what that's what kind of fucks us up. When you just live in the moment, work towards bettering yourself, but stop giving yourself some identity, because that is what is going to define you. That's what's going to stop you from living truly authentically. Then shit's a lot cooler. And this kind of brings in a lot of the Eckhart Tolle that I talk about. Interestingly enough, Eckhart Tolle wrote a book called Power of Now. In that book, he had this transformative process in which he was depressed. His whole life was, his whole identity was poured into being this smart intellectual at school. And then once one of his favorite professors who he admired committed suicide, and then everything he thought he had was gone. He fell into depression, he felt suicidal, and he kept saying, I can't live with myself anymore. I can't live with myself anymore. I can't live with myself anymore. And then there was a realization point that, what? There's I and there's myself. There's two people. There's I and me. There's the beingness, the I, and there's that me, that identity that I've created, and that identity is an illusion. And so when you accept yourself, then you really don't, then the idea of taking steroids is preposterous. And if anyone thinks I actually take steroids, oh my God, oh my God, oh God, I don't even know what to tell you. But I don't, obviously. And so yeah, I mean, that's really all I wanted to say. I did a Facebook post about this. You can check it out on Kinobody. And then there's also the whole issue is, like, most people take steroids, if not like 95% of people take steroids, claim they're natural. That must really fuck up their self-confidence, because they're running around telling people they're natural, knowing they're lying, and in reality they had to succumb to drugs to have this body. And so it's just like this so if there's anything to take from this, it's like, keep the steroid culture out of your reality. Stop hanging around forums that are talking about gear. I train at a gym where there's like no one's on steroids, because I don't just like being around that. Avoid that culture, and learn to accept yourself and work on building your physique naturally, and accept you're never gonna achieve this image of perfection. It's an illusion, and that as long as you're pushing yourself and making progress, leading a healthy life, working on getting stronger in the gym to a certain point, working on, nailing your nutrition, you're fucking perfect. You're a 10 out of fucking 10. You're gorgeous, motherfucker, okay? So stop running around like you're not complete, and that you need this and this and this to be enough, because you're complete right now. So enjoy it. Bye.